Matineh, thank you very much for taking the time to be with us tonight.
Of course, thanks
we
for
are
having
very
me.
excited, and I have a lot of questions for you.
You set the bar so high. What I do have to say?
Let's see. That's first. Let me go through the partial list of your achievements, like we did for Tara. You have a PhD from Carnegie Mellon, where you developed AI for proactive diagnosis of energy systems. You have demonstrated leadership in developing full-scale machine learning software for energy and systems. And you have found market success in energy space. Abby, you've already built and sold a company, Whatline, which offered AI for optimal and time-aware operation of battery projects behind and in front of the meter. And you've started another energy company, Powerline, about which we'll talk more. And on top of everything, this is incredible, you're a mother of a 9-month-old daughter and a 5-year-old son.
Which I hope they're in bed right now.
I mean, the biggest question is, how do you do it? But we'll get to that. It's an honor to have you here with all these achievements. And I know you were born in Urumiyeh. How did your growing up shape you to become an engineer? What did motivate you?
At the time when you're, I don't know if it was everybody's experience like this, but I didn't know what is motivation and why I like things that I like. I always loved physics and mathematics, and the funny thing is that, as opposed to your mom, my mom loved me to be a doctor. So she was like, you gotta be a doctor because you're a very good student. So I actually went to Tajrubi for a week. I sat in classes and listened to teachers about like all these like animals' bodies and everything. I was like, I cannot do this. So without telling my mom, I changed my discipline and I went to math classes. And then after a while, I told her that, sorry, Mom, I'm actually like almost graduating from math school. She's a physician herself, but physicist, I guess, physicist herself, but she wanted me to be a doctor. But yeah, I always loved it, and here I am.
So, and you started your university education in Turkey, actually. You went to Ankara in the Middle East Technical University. What made you interested in civil engineering? That's what you studied over there.
Actually, I did my bachelor in Iran, and similar to maybe a lot of people, I didn't get much choice about like what I picked as, so I just like went through the list. I didn't even know civil engineering. I loved physics. I wanted to be a like straight PhD in physics that Sharif had. I didn't get picked. Randomly, I guess I had civil engineering there, and I picked. I know I sound very like, oh, randomly I placed, but that is how it was at the time. And I went into civil engineering. I enjoyed. I'm actually glad I got into it because after I started it, I realized there's a lot of physics involved, and that is what I really loved. And I enjoyed doing civil engineering math. In fact, like I started writing like notebooks at class that even now at my college in Iran, I heard that people like copies are going hand in hand. Then I went to Turkey for doing a master's there. And that was when I got introduced to a little bit more data-driven approaches. And because one thing I did enjoy about civil engineering was going to the field and actually like doing the work. So I wanted to be more like on the data side and computer side. And did my master's in Middle East and METU was the path to do that.
You got your PhD from Carnegie Mellon in civil engineering as well. Did you have any academic ambitions, or did you know that you're going to start a company?
Not at all. I definitely thought I'm going to be a researcher, like professor. Everybody around me thought so because I was good at doing it. I was good at writing papers. I loved doing research. I loved teaching. In fact, my childhood dream was that I'm going to be a teacher. So everybody was like, yep, you're going to be a like academician. But then I took an internship in a energy, but I always was interested in energy.
Mm-hmm.
I took an internship in an energy startup, and then that was a aha moment for me that, maybe I'm going to explore industry a little bit. I'm going to go back to academia later, and I'm still supposed to go back.
It's a trip you can take but never retake. You thought of what to learn when you were at Pittsburgh still, in Carnegie Mellon. And that became a success, and you sold it. How did what to learn influence your starting Powerline?
I guess for sure one of the reasons it's similar to, like, you know how they say like having a startup is like having a baby. Honestly, going through it is like giving birth to a baby, and then how you forget about the pain of giving birth and raising a kid. You forget about the pains if the company is success.
Yeah.
So the company was a success, and right after I was like, okay, what's next?
The dopamine kicked in, yes.
Yes, I wanted another one. I don't know if I would have if it was not a success.
What specific lessons and insights did you learn from making and selling, what is it? Powerline was the second one. What learn?
Yeah.
What specific lessons did you learn that helped you form your next venture?
Actually, a lot. Even for myself, when I first started Powerline, I was surprising myself that, wow, this experience is so much different. I'm like the experiences of actually going through try and error of like doing something wrong and doing it again have helped me a lot. Now I'm like, I know what questions to ask. I know what numbers to look at. I know, I don't know, what to expect. So especially at the beginning. Right now I'm at the point that I'm again back to that like hustling because we have passed that initial stage of Powerline. But at the very beginning, when I like launching Powerline, it did help me that I knew, like, look at my customers. What are the pain points? What are my numbers? Do a little bit of simulation before like going back to investors, and a lot of questions that I need to have answers for, which first time around I didn't know, and I would just like go talk to people and get embarrassed and that I don't know these answers, and I go and learn it. This time around I had my homework ready and I knew what to look at, so it did help me a lot. And also on the technology development side, I had already built and sold and commercialized a product from zero idea to all the way to commissioning on a project. So that path also definitely taught me a lot how to start.
Now let's talk about Powerline, the most recent startup. I mean, the second startup that we have. It's very similar to what Learn in a sense that it deals with energy and monitoring devices and also using AI to make sense out of them. But it has a much bigger scope. I mean, this is gigantic, especially when I went and read about it, about this, as I said, looming disaster, that the more you read about it, the more I read about it, the more scared I got. I don't know if people are aware about of this one. It's going to hit us for the next 5 and 10 years, whereas the remedy doesn't appear until 10 to 20 years. And we're going to slowly tell you what it is. We are rapidly switching to electric cars. How many Teslas over here? Yeah. And we are going from traditional fossil fuel to renewables. We're going to wind and solar. But in doing so, where we generate solar and wind is not where we consume it. So all of a sudden we say, oopsie daisy, you know, we have the energy somewhere else, we need wires. And we can't do wires overnight. And it's very, very expensive. So with the electricity grid facing a potential disaster, how does Powerline see itself contributing to the solution? What do you do?
You set a very good stage. Just to give everybody an example, if you remember last year during heat waves, the grid was shaking in California. You got text messages, please stop your ACs. And that is with 5%, less than 5% EV penetration right now. Imagine at that time, we have also like 100% EV penetration. Everybody is charging their EVs. In fact, we did look at some EV charging data, 45 EVs in Bay Area. 50% of them were charging at that exact moment because they didn't know anything. Yeah. They didn't have any incentives. So the really, like, the electricity grid is the most existential threat ahead of electrification of transportation. But we do need to electrify transportation because our lives depends on it, because that's the most emitter of CO2 in the world, yes. In US at least. So how Powerline solves this problem is that we are synchronizing the EV charging and in future discharging, because you have a battery on board of these cars that can actually discharge and provide energy. So how we can synchronize that behavior with what is happening in the electricity grid. And just like a hint, a lot is happening at every second in the electricity grid. It's an extremely volatile network. It is very difficult to keep the lights on, and it matters if that synchronization happens. And of course, AI is to rescue.
So there is a technical problem over there, that you have all these shifting sources of energy going somewhere else, and you need to put lines there. Now, putting lines there is not only expensive, but you have to fight the regulations with local and state and federal government, which makes this project like tens of years.
Exactly.
How do you figure that one out?
Well, EVs move, don't they?
Yeah.
So they can move electrons from one point to another, while it takes 10 years and billions of dollars to build one transmission line. You can use, like, simply with a like very smart business model and incentives and AI that like optimizes everything. You can move electrons from one point to another that and solve not all, but a lot of that problem, at least delay that investment, buy time for the grid to catch up.
There's another element to this one. The industry itself is a cash cow. You know, they make a lot of money, the electrical companies, and they are resistant to change. I mean, if you go to them and say, you know, you need to put extra lines, you need to change, you need to go to solar, they would say, yeah, we put it on paper, or maybe we do it 10 years from now. So these three elements, it's not only technical. Are you optimistic that you're going to be able to make a difference?
Yes, obviously.
I hope so.
I'm optimistic, otherwise I wouldn't start a company. That is the definition of entrepreneurs. You have to be optimistic. But we are going to start what we can do and take it one step at a time. Thankfully, like behind the meter, by behind the meter, I mean like at your home or behind the doors, not at a grid scale. Batteries and solar that you install at your home have already paved the way a lot for grid services that smaller appliances like EVs or other appliances can provide. So a lot of regulation hustle has been kind of solved, but there is still a lot more to be solved, and we are going to do one step at a time, what we can.
In your equations, does smart appliance have a role? In other words, appliances that could report their use or provide some sort of a schedule, excuse me, and even allow the utilities to control them from a distance, like turning your washing machine or laundry machine on and off at time. Do you consider that as part of your equation?
For Powerline, probably I don't. Probably maybe at some point we are like, oh, we conquered the EV space, might as well add the appliances. And there are solutions that do. There are companies that do cover appliance integration. For us, probably we are going to stick with EVs and larger scale batteries, just because you need less of them to aggregate to make an impact, as opposed to small, like kilowatt size of energy that the small appliance can provide. So it's like easier to aggregate and make an impact
So you don't think it's going to be necessary for a smart home to be controlled externally to shut it off or bring it down to 1/10 of the energy if the hurricane is coming and we are in danger of losing power? You're not going to work with that factor?
We will be working, at least the goal today is to work with the distributed energy resources at your home, including electric vehicles, solar, battery, perhaps heaters, so a little bit larger capacity, larger power equipment that you have at your home.
Let me ask you a question about being a woman in the tech world, the same question I asked our first speaker. What particular strategies had to be good at, and what were some of your solutions or some aha moments that made you realize that it's an advantage to be a woman in a man's world of energy, or is it a disadvantage? How did you deal with that? How did that affect? How has it affected your work?
Yeah. So at the beginning, when I particularly started in the energy space, it was difficult to be taken serious. I don't know if it was because I was a woman or because I was a foreigner or because I was junior or all the above, but it was difficult. I would go even as like a director of a company, go to a conference, and it would be difficult to like be taken seriously. But my trick was to push through it. I was like, I don't care that you don't take me seriously. I'm going to keep pushing. And I'm going to prove to you that I'm important and you have to listen to me. Or I have an idea and I don't care that you don't want to hear me. I'm going to bring it up. And it worked, kind of. Or I don't know, maybe some of those like factors like became less important, maybe. But in terms of advantage, I think, I don't know, maybe I'm being too honest, but sometimes in some venues when I talk technically and I know what I'm talking about, I feel like I get a little bit more respect because women are less known to be hand-wavy and they're more known to be factful and detailed. So when I talk about a fact and I talk about like a certain technology or something, I feel like people can trust that I know what I'm talking about.
You earn your respect.
Yes.
Excellent.
This is no offense to men. I'm not saying obviously men rule the world, but
maybe they should take a break and let some women rule the world. Matineh, you're not just balancing the energy grid. You've got a mini squad of your own with a 9-month-old and a 5-year-old. How do you juggle the power plays at home while you're also running the show at Powerline?
Yeah. I'm not going to paint a picture that like, oh, we can do it. It is very easy. It is very difficult. But I cannot stop life because I'm running a company. But I also don't want to stop my dreams and do what I do because I want to have a family. So what I do is just I sleep less and try to be multitask. I multitask a lot. Like I have sometimes 5 tasks at a time. My brain is designed to think about, okay, while I'm doing that, I'm going to do that, and then while I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And just like, yeah, it works.
For my last question, I want to ask you, has your 5-year-old daughter tried to maximize your attention at bedtime and try to use some AI techniques to get more time out of you?
I actually think my 9-month-old daughter, she has an AI algorithm. The moment I put my head down, she cries. So I think she has a sensor or something. So.
Well, thank you very much for answering our questions.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
We have a few minutes if you have questions. Okay, over there. Can we get a mic to that gentleman? Please introduce yourself and your affiliation and keep your question to the point and brief.
Hello,
Hi.
This is Reza Gabi. This is my first time ever. For the past 3 years, I've been out of my house in an event among people. I've been working on an AI product for the past 3 years, so I'm not going to plug that in. My question to you, I think you understand, is that sometimes as a startup
Please get the mic closer to your mouth because we can't hear you. Yes.
As a startup owner, sometimes you feel like you're working in a void, especially when you said, as a foreigner, you're talking to people, people don't understand you. And especially when you're talking to the high-level technical skills, people don't kind of connect with you. I'm very sure you've been through a period of life that you're operating in a void. You feel like you're operating in a void. Is that right? So when you're in that point, which I am right now, how do you push through that? How do you feel, how you build that network, how you reach out, how you get that, past that phase? Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So for me, what has worked is, as I said, like I just shut down that part of my brain that makes me feel like, this wasn't fun, or like I just go through it. I keep pushing, and somehow like I feel like the more I push, the more I'm like serious and basically serious about what I have to say and how I have to do. People take it seriously as well. I reach out. I reach out to as many people as I can. A lot of them don't respond. A lot of them do. Talk to as many people as I can. As one person introduced me to another one. One very good advice that at previous company I got from my mentor was, your idea only is as big as many number of people who knows it. So if nobody knows about your idea doesn't exist. So just don't be afraid of people stealing your idea, or like nobody's gonna do that. Nobody. You just have to talk about it to as many people as you can, and opportunities, just doors open. Yeah.
There's another question over there. There are two. Can you get the mic over there? Do you have another question or just one?
Hi, Matineh, this is Nera. So happy to have you here tonight. Yeah. My question is, can you tell us a little about the role of your partner in your success? Because I think the majority of men are expecting after you have children, you have to be full-time mom. And I think what you're doing is exceptional. And that's probably the reason that we have very few female that are in your level of success. So can you just tell us about that part a little?
Yeah, my partner in life is also my partner in business. So we actually, I don't know if it helps or hurts that we both work in the same domain and decided to co-found a company together.
He's the CTO and you're
He's
a CEO.
He's the CTO, yes. But it definitely complicates some stuff because we constantly are managing a project with each other, like whether at home, whether at work. But it makes him understand and appreciate that I'm not just like wasting time. It is difficult. Another thing is personality. Like he actually is advocating for me to do things whenever I feel down and I feel like, this is not working or something. He's the one that's like, no, you gotta do it. You have to do it. I don't care if it doesn't work or something. You have to do it. Yeah, I think. He has a big role.
No, hold on. There's a question. Somebody just got the microphones. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. I know energy storage is the holy grail of the grid, so interesting that you're working on this. Question, I know that you are kind of using distributed energy storage as, I'm assuming, frequency regulation. Are you just using the level of charge, or are you using discharging of the EV batteries? For
with EV batteries, right now we are working with charging only to provide good services. But with energy storage that we also incorporate in our platform, we obviously do charge and discharge for grid services.
Thank you.
There was a follow-up question over here.
And I understand that, thank you. I understand that your partner helps and you collaborate together, you understand each other, but at the end of the day, there are moments that the kids like grabbing you and you're working on your computer and then she just closes your laptop and you're in the middle of like, how do you really handle?
Yeah.
And don't feel and avoid like, because you want to be a good parent, you want to for the kids to have the development, et cetera, et cetera. So how do you handle that?
Yeah, moms typically are the default parent. So like no matter how supportive your husband is, eventually like you are the one that typically are default when things go wrong with kids. There have been times that I literally like hold my kid in a meeting. I was like, sorry, like I don't have a childcare today, and I do take care, like have child help. But there are times that I don't have a childcare, or like the kid is sick or something. I just like bring them in the meeting with me, and there was times that I would be worried about that. There have been times that I actually try to hide that I'm a woman and I have family, or I may get pregnant and all of that, but not anymore. I actually am like, I wouldn't bring my kid to the meeting if I couldn't. If I didn't have to, and today I have to. Sorry. So yeah, I just like, it's a crazy ride.
Matineh, on behalf of the AmidiGroup, Plug and Play, Persian Tech Network, and the Iranian community, I thank you for taking the time and being here and sharing your thoughts.
I appreciate you being here. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Go to the stage.